Alright, so the first thing we're going to start with is the game settings. So under graphics, one of the most important things to focus on is the field of view. So you can crank this all the way up to 120. It's going to make the field of view extremely wide, which I don't recommend using unless you really like an extremely wide field of view. But I found a good spot to be is around 106 to maybe potentially cap it out at like 110 or so. But right now I'm using about 106 and I find it to be pretty good. So here's what it looks like with 106. You can see that it's not too stretched out, but at the same time it's not very enclosed either. So it has a pretty nice field of view. And like I said, if you want, you can crank it up to like maybe about 110 just to get a little bit more field of view. But right now I'm just sticking to 106. I have my ADS on zoom enabled. This is not really needed. This is more of a preference thing. So don't feel like you absolutely need to do this just because I am. So basically when ADS is zoomed, it's going to look like this. It's going to have like a little bit of a zoom to it. Now if we take ADS zoom off, apply settings, you can see that it's no longer zooming in. It's just going to be just like how it normally be when you're looking. So if we do with the scope, you can see there's no zoom in at all. If we go back, we enable it, you can see that there's a little slight zoom to it. Now the only settings that you should have maxed out if your PC can handle it are texture, shadow, and view distance. Anti-aliasing can be like maybe medium to high, and this is even if you have like the best PC possible. I still do not recommend really maxing out anti-aliasing. You don't really need too much of it. So I usually keep it between medium or high. Right now I have it on high. And shadows I like to keep on high. I don't really like to max it out, even though I have a really good PC. And post-process and VFX you should have completely off because you don't need these. By lowering the post-process quality, you're going to get rid of a lot of the post-process effects like the blur and crap that make the game look worse. And by lowering the VFX quality, it's going to clean up the game for you. So, you know, you don't have like blood splatters all over the walls, all bullet holes all over the walls, all over the ground, all over the floor. And it's going to be a lot easier for you to focus on the enemies that way. Right now, I prefer to have it off. And post-process, I 100% recommend that you turn this off no matter what. VFX can be like 50-50, it just depends on your preference, but I like to have a cleaner looking game so it's easier for me to focus on the enemies, so I just keep that on the lowest setting possible. Now all of these 4 options here should be completely disabled, so these are going to be like the frame limit, the motion blur, the VSync, the bounce light. Enable world decals can be optional, but I keep it off right now. And DLSS quality and FSR I have completely off, and DLSS is not really good for this game, so I recommend that you have it off anyways, and maybe try FSR instead until the developers come out with a fix for it. Or you can download the newest DLSS file manually. I have a video for that already, and you can try that version instead of the one that the game comes with, which is an older version of it. Down below that is the Nvidia Reflex. So I keep this enabled. It reduces latency. So basically latency is input lag. So that's going to be like the time that you ADS, how well it responds, the time that you see an enemy move on the screen. So I just keep, you don't really need it for this game that much unless you're playing online, but I keep it enabled anyways because it does really no harm to keep it enabled, so might as well just keep it enabled. And then if you scroll over, there should be another setting called an enabled plus boost. Now this is not something that you need at all, so I would just recommend that you use enabled. This is all you need. Move it on to the control settings. So right now I have my free lean on toggle for alt key, and that's because I like to use my shift key for walking, and I have low ready on toggle low ready, which is your sprint. Now what I used to do is I used to keep toggle low ready as my shift key, and I used to have the walk key for my spacebar. But an alternate good method is you can also put free lean, like without the toggle, as your spacebar, so that way it's easier for you to free lean with the spacebar. But I find that keeping it toggled for my alt key is fine, which is why I haven't moved over the non-toggle version to spacebar. Okay, so here's important keys. Toggle laser light attachment, that's going to be your flashlight, your laser. So I have that on thumb button 2, which is my top side button on the mouse. And my bottom side button is just the regular thumb button. So that's for the SWAT commander interface, which I use to move around the suspects, which I'll explain later in this guide. Another good command is switch ammo type. I have that on C, and I have my toggle canted sight on Z. So you're gonna need this one. Basically, toggle canted sight is when you have a laser dot or a flashlight. See how I'm aiming with my laser dot? This is the canted sight. If I press the Z key, it turns right into my scope. Press the Z key again, it's the laser again. You want to make a canted sight key, and like I said, mine is the Z key, but feel free to make it whatever key is more comfortable for you. So I have my free look on cap lock. Basically, when you hold down cap lock and you move your mouse, you can free look like this. It's pretty useful if you're getting a suspect and you need to take a look to see if there's enemy coming around. I don't use it that much. In fact, I very rarely use it at all, but I just keep it there just in case if I need to use it. The next thing you should focus on is your mouse sensitivity. So I'm going to be going over aiming tips in this video as well, how you can better aim. Okay, so right now you can see how bright this is. I can change that. If I go to accessibilities, what I like to do is I turn this setting on and I keep mine to 25%. And it will reduce it, but watch this. If you increase it to like 100%, look what it does. It gets rid of all the colors, but it's gonna make red brown, which is what I don't like. So typically I found a good balance is to keep it like around 25 to 28%. So I'll keep it to like, so you can see the red bar right there. As you increase it starts to turn brown. So it's turning red into brown, even though it gets rid of the other colors. So you can kind of turn it down to like maybe even 30% is pretty good too. We can like keep it like maybe around, that's gonna start to be too brown. So like 34, 33%, maybe 31%. And it won't be as bright. Okay, and some more aiming tips that I want to show you is how to aim. On the Windows search here, type mouse settings, and then click on this mouse settings for system settings. And then what you're going to do here is scroll down until you see additional mouse settings. Click that. This will pop up, so now you want to go to pointer options. And you want to make sure that enhanced pointer precision is turned off, because by turning this on, it causes mouse acceleration. And basically, it's going to make it so that it's harder for you to have muscle memory. So by turning this off, you're going to be a lot more accurate. You're going to build up muscle memory easier. Another thing that you want to do is go into your mouse software. If you have a gaming mouse, I have a Logitech mouse, so I go into my Logitech software and I make sure that my polling rate is at 1000. This also gives me a 1-to-1 ratio with my aim. It makes it so I'm aiming a lot better. I won't have any input lag. I don't have any mouse acceleration or anything. I don't have any mouse smoothing. I have no mouse acceleration. My aim is just completely easy to control. So you're gonna notice that my mouse sensitivity is only at 0.16. So the DPI of your mouse matters here. Obviously, if you're using a very fast DPI, chances are you're gonna have to reduce that even more. But if you're using a really slow DPI mouse, you're probably gonna need to crank that up more. My mouse DPI is 800. With this particular DPI setting, I feel pretty comfortable at 0.16, so I can aim really accurately and fast at the same time. And that's what you want to try and aim for. You want to try and aim so you can move your mouse around like nice and easy. But at the same time, it needs to be slow enough so that you're accurate when you're aiming. So I'm going to show you. So you want to be able to like do this really fast, basically. If your mouse sensitivity is too fast and you're not able to control that very well, then you're just going to be like all over the place with your aim. So I'm going to show you on different targets now. So I'm just going to aim here. You want to be able to aim like really fast and precise at the same time. Should be a good gun to show you guys because it has some kick to it. So. Another thing is I can show you is the red thing as well. You can click this. And basically just practice doing that as well. And we can switch the thing to full auto. So we can do little bursts. So to control your recoil, You're gonna notice that the gun goes up like this. So what you want to do is pull it down. See that? That's how you control the recoil. Just make sure that you're pulling down the mouse vertically to control it. Otherwise, it's just gonna spray up. So you're notice you're gonna be running around, and eventually you're gonna have to stop to aim at somebody, and it's gonna be harder to aim when you're trying to make a stop. But I found that the easiest way to do that is to hold the shift key or to hold the walk key. That way when you come to a complete stop with the walk key, it's like hitting the brakes pretty much. It makes to a complete stop, and your aim will be accurate. It won't be like all over the place where if you just stop and it kind of wobbles a little bit. So holding the walk key can help you aim a lot easier. Especially when you're trying to shoot at like multiple enemies with the shotgun for S ranking. And I'm going to show you an example of that, so we're just going to pick a random map. Okay, everyone's favorite map, Grease Palms. So this is, you're going to notice the keyboard in the bottom left, and you're going to notice that when I'm holding the shift key, this is my slow walk key. This is the key that I use to aim, to control my aim and keep myself moving at the same time, so that I can make myself come to like a complete stop quicker. Like this. Instead of just going like this and stopping moving and shooting, what I like to do is I like to keep moving and hold the shift walk key and aim and shoot at the same time. So I'm going to show you guys what I mean by that. Here's this guy right here. He's dead.
We have a dead suspect here.
So all these aiming tips that I've been giving you are playing a big factor here. Just remember the 800 DPI, the aim settings. All of this is playing a factor here with my aim and how accurate it is. And also using the laser dot as well is one of my favorite things to use in this game because it's very accurate. Got him as well. Keeps moving his head around, bobbing it up and down. But you guys can see what you can do with when you work on your aim. Where the fuck did he shoot me from? I can't see my laser dot. I think I got him.
Drop it and get down.
This is where the red dot like comes in handy if you can't see your laser dot that well, because of the lighting.
Police, get down.
I got him. See? Anyways, I think I showed you guys a pretty good example. Alright, so here's a tip on when to lead your shot. So when an enemy is strafing in this game, because they strafe really fast. So you can see that the enemy here is strafing towards my left side. So I need to lead my shot to the left. So that way when I shoot my gun, he's going to strafe right into the bullet. And depending on the gun you're using, he'll either die or he will be in pain and you can get him to surrender.
Get on the fucking ground. Do it now.
Here's a situation where I had to react fast after shooting the first suspect. I slowed down the video so you can see me lead my shot on the second suspect as he strafes towards the left side. Let's talk about the enemy's morale. When the enemy is alert and aware of the player's presence, their morale will be high. The poster you see here shows an enemy that has either heard or seen a player, or maybe one of the suspects that you engaged with, or saw you, ran into the room and notified the other suspects of the SWAT player's presence. So the suspect here is an alert enemy, and his reaction time will be extremely high, and almost as accurate as an aimbot. If the enemy is standing perfectly still, and not moving at all, then they are 100% focused and will aimbot you at an extremely fast rate that will likely kill you in one shot. This enemy appears to be moving around a bit, so there's a chance that he won't instantly aimbot. and kill me. Now, an enemy's morale will be low if they haven't seen or heard you or have been notified of your presence yet. So you can see that this enemy right now is standing perfectly still, but he's not aiming his gun up, so his morale is low. Once the enemy either sees or hears me within a certain distance, he'll begin to lift his gun up, and now he's going to be alert. And he won't be stationary anymore. He's going to be moving. The only time that you have to worry about an enemy when they're stationary is if their gun is pointed up, because that's when they're going to aimbot you. But when their gun is pointed down, then that means that they either haven't been triggered from their spawn yet, or their morale is really low because they aren't aware of the player's presence. So at this point, you can actually get this enemy if you somehow were able to stealth into the spawn. But because this enemy somehow wall hacked me, I was not able to get him before the spawn could trigger. So once the enemy was triggered from his spawn, you can see that he already started shooting at me without even seeing me. And this happens a lot with the way that the AI is right now.
High ground to talk. Got a suspect.
Now take note that if you kill a suspect, any suspects nearby will have their stress levels greatly increased and they will go into a panic. This could either make them very aggressive and aimbot you, or they could run away, like in this video here.
What the fuck?
Okay, so here's what it looks like when an enemy spawn is not triggered yet. You're going to notice that both enemies are stationary. They will not move until they hear a sound close to their area. They've seen you, or they've been notified by another suspect that the SWAT is here. So this is the beginning spawn of hide and seek. So this is one of the best ways that you can practice this. That way you can get used to what it looks like when an enemy spawn has not been triggered yet. Now let's see what it looks like from my point of view.
Put your fucking hands up. Drop the gun. Don't make me shoot you.
Now when there's one suspect left on the map, that suspect is always going to know where you are, and they're going to run the entire map to get to you. Here's an example of Eyes of Mart where I had one suspect left, and look how fast his reaction time was. So just be very careful when you have one suspect left. Okay, so let's talk about making the suspect surrender now. You can see that I shot this suspect. Now I'm yelling for compliance and he doesn't comply. Instead, he's going to do a weird dance where he wiggles his body. As I catch up to the suspect, I yell again. He doesn't comply. Now, if you're close to the suspect when he does this, you don't want to spam shoot him because it won't always work. And in fact, if you spam shoot with the beanbag shotgun, it will just go right through him. And if you do it with pepper balls, they won't really react to it either. So the best way to do this is what I'm doing in the video here is you shoot them, and if they don't comply, you bash them. The bash will break the morale, and then you can yell for compliance again. There might be a rare case where they won't comply again, and you might have to bash them one more time and then yell for compliance. But in most cases, when their morale is really hard to break, like in this situation here where he's doing this animation, you can bash them during that animation and then yell for compliance, and they will comply. You will see me doing this a lot in my videos when a suspect has high morale. So what are some situations that cause this to happen? One cause is the suspect has higher morale than usual. A second cause is that there might be enemies nearby that are watching a suspect. If another suspect is nearby and he has eyes on his friend, then their morale increases and the suspect that you're shooting will be less likely to comply with you. You'll notice that if you shoot this suspect here and then you shoot the suspect that has eyes on that suspect, with both suspects shot, both of them will comply really easily because now they're both in a state where you've broken their morale.
Get down on the floor right now! Get on the fucking ground! Do it now! Drop the weapon now! Down on your knees, slowly!
Now, when a suspect has not noticed you yet, they're going to have very low morale and they're going to make a startled animation. So you're going to notice this animation right here. Certain suspects will startle more often than the more aggressive suspects. So for instance, the ones on Sinuous Trail, you'll notice that they startle a lot when they haven't noticed you. So you can take advantage of this and shoot them right away. But the more aggressive AI, they won't startle as much. And that's the more aggressive AI are the terrorists on like Neon Tomb or Relapse map. But AI like this on Sinuous Trail and various other maps, they will startle a lot. And you want to make sure that you take advantage of them right away. So shoot them and get them to comply. Now here's the vid in real time.
LSPD, get down!
Don't shoot! I'm giving up! Hey!
Police, get on the ground, now!
Don't shoot! I'm giving up! Stop!
LSPD!
You're trash! I don't want any...
Now you can command suspects and civilians the same way that you would command your own SWAT AI. Just remember that you have a certain time limit to arrest a suspect. You have a few good seconds to arrest them before a suspect will get back up to try and attack you with their secondary weapon and or knife. This will only happen when a suspect gets close to you. So if you are a good distance away from the suspect, then the suspect will not get up to try and attack you until you get closer to them.
Down on the ground, now!
Move forward. Turn around and stay still.
Shit!
Get down!
Fuck you!
Think about what you're doing!
Alright, it's over, okay?
Okay, so here's a bonus tip. If you notice a civilian that won't cooperate, then it's either because A, you are too far from them, or B, there are suspects nearby, so be very careful when approaching civilians that won't cooperate with you. If you free lean around corners very slowly, the enemy will not be able to see you, and here's a perfect example showcasing that. I will show my point of view, and then I will show the point of view of the suspects, from two different angles.
Don't move! Get down and don't move! Hands up! Police, get down!
No! Get the shit! Shit! I'm not throwing my life away!
LSPD, don't move! Get down and don't move! Hands up! Police, get down!
Alright, so we can use the Mirorrgun under doors, like so. We can see one suspect here. Now, there's another spawn on the far right side here, but we can't see anything on that side. So that means you have to be very careful when you open this door on the sides that you can't see with the Mirorrgun.
All clear here.
So we can check the left side first. I mean the right side first, since we know there's a guy on the left side. And now we can go and get this guy on the left side, just like that. I'm killing them on purpose, by the way, because I don't want to. I'm not trying to get S rank. I'm just trying to show off the Mirorrgun.
Put your hands up and get down slowly!
Can deal with this guy. Another thing we can do with the Mirorrgun here is hide like this. Make sure that the reflection is showing on the Mirorrgun before you use it. And then use it, and then you can kind of see on the angles that you normally wouldn't be able to see. See how you can see down the hall right now? So you can hide your body you can get the reflection to show, and then you can see right down the hall with the mirror gun. You can do this with leaning and free leaning as well. But I'm just showing you how to play with the mirror gun. So we don't know if there's a guy here, you can use the mirror gun. Nobody there. So we can see there's no suspect in here. Doors open, so now it's actually easy. If a suspect were to come across like this, I can just go and get him really quickly. So that's basically how to play with the mirror gun. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the breaching shotgun. This is a very good tactical gear to use because it allows you to open up doors quickly and from a safe distance. So if I wanted to, I can go like this. Quickly throw a grenade in there. Just like that. Reload the breach. And gas out any enemies that are around here. Now this is the lobbies, so I'm just doing this inside the basement of the lobby. I'm not actually inside a map right now. You can also use a free lean under here like this and peek if you want to practice free leaning. Alright, so let's start with the standard loadout for S ranking. You want to have the beanbag shotgun as the commander, and your SWAT AI can have either the TPL or the VKS. This is the pepperball rifles. You want to give one of these to your SWAT AI because if the SWAT AI has the beanbag shotgun, they can accidentally kill an enemy with it, and this will prevent your S rank, which means you will need to force restart your map. You want to have heavy armor on with full ceramic. Ceramic is going to provide you with the least movement penalty, so you'll be fastest with ceramic. You want to make sure that you and your SWAT AI have no sidearm ammo, and the amount of beanbag ammo you need will be dependent on your skill level, as well as how big or small the map is, and how many suspects there are. So this varies, basically. CS gas is good to use for some maps. Flashbang is good to use for some maps. So on maps where you use CS gas, you don't want to rush the enemy until you hear them coughing. And on maps where you use the flashbang, you don't want to rush the enemies until you hear them screaming in pain that they're blind or whatever. These are the only two times that you want to rush an enemy when you use these types of grenades. Now, I only take the lockpick gun with me if I'm speedrunning because it's faster and quieter than a default lockpick. The taser is good for situational use only. Basically, if an enemy has too much coverage on them and you can't shoot them without killing them because only their head is showing, then the taser is good for headshotting because the taser will not kill the enemy. But the beanbag shotgun, if you shoot them in the head, it will kill the enemy. Pepper spray is garbage. I don't recommend taking this right now until an update happens and if they buff it or not. You only want to take wedges if there's a lot of doors. This way you can prevent the enemies from flanking you. Wedges are typically good for people that are starting out the game. C2 is good for in-capping enemies on the other side of a locked door. So if there's a locked door, you can plant a C2 charge, and depending on how close the enemy is to the door, they might either die or get in-capped, as well as how far they are from the blast radius. You want to take the gas mask with you if you're using CS gas and pepper balls. You want to take night vision goggles with you if you're playing a nighttime mission. And you want to take the ballistic mask with you during missions where you're using flashbangs. Now, moving on to tactical gear. The M320 flash launcher has 4 nades in it, and it has a bigger blast radius than the standard flashbang. It's good to use when there's a few suspects left, or if there's a suspect that's extremely stressed, and he's going to be very tough to deal with because of that. The breach shotgun is really good to use for a standard loadout as well as for speedrunning. But most people will probably want to choose either the Mirorrgun or one of these launchers here. If you want a tank, then you can use the tactical shield. But most people on a standard loadout will be choosing the Mirorrgun. Okay, so this pretty much covers everything for the guide. Hopefully you guys learned something or at least enjoyed the video. And good luck with your skill progress on the game and S ranking it. Thanks for watching.